People think power is loud. They think power is dominance, visibility, being the center of attention. They think power is proving something. But real power never feels the need to prove itself. And the moment you understand this, you start seeing people differently. Because suddenly, you notice something most people never do. The loudest person in the room is usually the weakest, not physically, but psychologically. Because noise is often a compensation, a signal, a way of saying, look at me, validate me, confirm that I matter. And the moment someone needs validation, they lose power. Because real power does not ask, it does not chase, it does not explain, it simply exists. And more importantly, it is felt, not logically understood, felt. Machiavelli understood this long before modern psychology existed. To him, power was never about what you do, it was about how people perceive you. Because perception overrides reality, always. You can be capable, intelligent, even dangerous, but if people don't perceive you that way, it means nothing. And on the other side, you can say very little, do very little, and still control the room. If people feel something from you, this is where most people fail. They think more effort creates more power, more talking, more explaining, more proving, but every time you explain yourself, you lower your position, because explanation signals doubt, and doubt is contagious. People feel it, even if they can't explain why. And once they feel it, they start questioning you. Respect starts to fade and control begins to slip. Now here's the part most people are not ready to hear. You are not weak because you lack ability. You are weak because you reject your own darkness. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the part of you that you hide, the part that is capable of being cold, detached, even dangerous. And society teaches you to suppress it. Be nice, be agreeable, be harmless. But here is the truth. Harmless people are ignored because the human brain does not respect what cannot threaten it. This doesn't mean you should become cruel, but it means something far more important. You need to integrate your shadow, because power does not come from being good. It comes from being whole, from knowing exactly what you are capable of and choosing when to use it. This is why some people, without saying much, command attention, because there is something beneath the surface, something people can't fully read. And the human mind hates uncertainty, so it fills the gaps, it creates stories, and most of the time, those stories make you bigger, stronger, more powerful than you actually are. That's why silence works, because silence forces imagination, and imagination amplifies power. Now think about this. Why do some people walk into a room and instantly shift the energy without speaking, while others talk for minutes and still get ignored? It's not about words, it's about presence. And presence comes from internal control. This is where the Stoics enter the conversation. They believe that true power is self-mastery, because if you cannot control yourself, you are already controlled by emotions, by reactions, by other people. And in this world, the easiest people to manipulate are the reactive ones, because they are predictable. You push a button, they respond. But a person who stays calm breaks this pattern, because you cannot predict them. And unpredictability creates tension. Tension creates attention, and attention is the foundation of influence. Now here is where it gets dangerous. Once people realize they cannot read you, they start respecting you. Not because they understand you, but because they don't. Because the unknown always feels more powerful than the known. This is why distance matters. If you are always available, you lose value. If you always respond, you lose mystery. If you are always open, you become easy to replace. Scarcity creates importance, and powerful people understand this intuitively. They don't give access easily. They don't explain everything. They don't react to everything. And because of that, they control the emotional space around them. Now let's go deeper. Machiavelli asked a question that still makes people uncomfortable. Is it better to be loved or feared? Most people answer emotionally. They say loved, because it sounds right, because it feels safe. But Machiavelli was not interested in feelings. He was interested in reality. And reality is simple. Love is unstable. It changes. It depends on mood, circumstances, benefit. People love you until it costs them something, and then they choose themselves. But fear operates differently. Fear creates boundaries. Fear limits behavior. Fear reduces risk. This does not mean you should live in fear. It means you should understand its function. Because when people know you have limits, real limits, they behave differently around you. And behavior is what defines power. Not words, not intentions, behavior. Now, combine this with Jung. If you suppress your ability to be firm, to say no, to create consequences, people feel it, and they test you. And once they realize there are no consequences, they cross the line, again and again, until you become invisible, not because you are weak, but because you refused to access your strength. This is why balance matters. Not extreme kindness, not extreme coldness, but controlled duality. The ability to be calm and dangerous, kind and distant, present but not accessible. This creates psychological tension, and tension creates respect. Now here is something very few people understand. Power is not built in moments of action. It is built in moments of restraint. When you choose not to react, when you choose not to explain, when you choose to walk away. Because in those moments you show something rare, control. And control is the highest form of power, because once you control yourself, you start controlling perception. And once you control perception, you influence behavior. And once you influence behavior, you hold power. This is the chain. But most people never reach it because they get stuck at the first level: emotion, reaction, impulse. And as long as you live there, you will always be controlled. Now look around you. You'll start noticing patterns. The person who talks the most often gets ignored. The person who reacts the fastest gets manipulated. The person who is always available gets taken for granted. And the person who stays composed, detached, selective, becomes the center of gravity. Everything starts moving around them. Without effort, without force. This is real power. Not loud, not obvious, but undeniable. And once you see it, you cannot unsee it. That is real power.